So once we cut our 9 patch apart into our 4 smaller patches, we have individual blocks that look like this. And one of the ways to envision a way of putting them together so that you have no seams in each row that you need to match is to think of one block forming the letter L, like that, and one block forming the letter 7, like that. And then as you're building this, you can go ahead and you can just think of L7, L7 all the way across. Then when you get to your next row, you're going to reverse that. You're going to start with your 7, and then your next one's going to be put in the L position, and as you go across, you do that. So every other row starts with an L, then a 7, then an L, then a 7. In this way, you have no seams within your row that you need to match, which is really kind of nice. That's the beautiful part about the Disappearing 9 patch, is that you can just sew all these together, matching your tops and your bottoms, and you don't have to worry about you know, your intersections or anything like that matching. Of course, when you build your 9 patch, that's kind of important that they form a nice tight corner. But when you're actually putting the blocks together, it doesn't matter. So the only thing that you'll have to think about is when you are sewing your rows together, here's where you're going to need to have intersections match. And they're pretty easy to do that. If you press your seams for this row going that way and this row going this way, and then put them on top of each other, nest those seams together, and go ahead and sew. I sew a whole quilt, and I don't use pins because I just nest my seams, and it works out really, really well. You feel that nesting with your fingers as those intersections come up. Make sure that they're just butting up right next to each other, and your fabric will give a little bit if you need to fudge it a little tiny bit to make the intersection to be very tight together, and works out really well. You don't really need to even pin. You can pin if you want to. I did that when I first was learning how to quilt and how to piece, but I don't do that anymore because I can feel it just as easily as I can pin it, and it works out fine for me. Now here is a much, much more controlled looking way of setting your blocks, where you have all of your different 9 patch blocks, different colors, to look like you've sashed across the top with cornerstones and sash every row that way. This one, all of the blocks are set in the 7 position. You could just turn it around and set them all in the L position if you wanted to. If you controlled the color here, which are your side blocks, you could end up with perhaps having a white sashing look. And this way is kind of more of a controlled look if you're not quite into a total scrappy look. You want things a little bit more orderly and organized. It just depends on you know, the look that you're going for with your quilt. That you can do it this way if you like. Another thing that you can do with any one of these types of square blocks is to set them on point. It makes a very interesting, different look to your quilt. You will have to cut your blocks here and here. You can kind of fill in the blanks as you go up and make the quilt the size that you want it to be, to fill in those empty triangle spaces. We call them setting triangles that you would put in there to help your quilt have the rectangular straight edge on this side, but basically you're using the idea of triangles. So that's another way that you could set this. I'm going to build the table.